Welcome back, movie fans, to a brand new episode. My name's Pat Carrick.
And I'm David Mayer.
And we're going to see Star Wars!
Yes, we are.
Woo!
See that? That enthusiasm is a lie. Pat's already seen Star Wars.
I did. I saw it yesterday. I couldn't wait. I had to take my girlfriend to go see Star Wars. You had to look after your girlfriend on her birthday. It didn't work out, but it was no way. I was waiting for you, Dave. I'm very sorry.
But he's been sworn to secrecy. I know nothing about this film. I've seen the cinematic trailer because I was in the cinema.
Yes, you're very good.
And that's all I know about this film, and I am very much looking forward to it. Obviously, it's a continuation of a saga. Force Awakens from a couple of years ago, very well received. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of good stuff in there. It left a lot of questions.
Yes.
Which you expect from what you know is going to be a trilogy.
I think it was very important for Disney, Lucasfilm and J.J. Abrams to get all the Star Wars fans back on board, as the prequels weren't necessarily praised by most Star Wars fans. Depending on your age group, I think it's a generational thing as well.
Obviously, a lot of returning cast members. We know Mark Hamill's back, Luke Skywalker, doing hopefully a lot of training montage.
To have Luke Skywalker back was such a big deal for me. You know,
Yeah.
To see him back in his glory. These are the types of things that I always thought about growing up. I feel that the hurdle that this film has to leap over is satisfying those fantasies somewhat that all young boys and girls had for almost two decades.
Yeah, 20 years
and
just dreaming about what these movies were going to be like.
And we have to now go with Rian Johnson's vision, which is a lot of weight on his shoulders.
It is. I mean, he's not a massively well-established director. He's got a few films to his name, most notably Looper, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no complaints about the work of his that I've seen. I think he can do the job, and I like the fact that they've brought in someone relatively unknown to direct a movie of this magnitude.
So we made it through the mountain pass that looked like the Hoth system, and we almost thought we didn't make it today. The roads would be closed, but we did it, Dave.
We did. We are here. I am ready.
A gauge to 1 to 10, how excited are you?
Definitely a 9. I'm looking forward to it. We are going to see Star Wars, and we will be back with you very soon. Hey! I've got to be honest, it's a review. We're doing consumer information here. I'm pretty disappointed. I mean, it was a little bit not good. I mean, you've seen it twice now.
Yes.
So obviously you had the initial reaction yesterday.
Yeah.
Was yours the same?
Yesterday it was. Most certainly. I came out disappointed. And I was disappointed for many reasons. And I think today I'm a little less so.
We haven't actually talked about it yet, so we can discuss it for the first time. I think I was talking before we went to see the movie about, the risk of putting too much comedy in and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they really just went heavy on the jokes, particularly the slapstick. And I have no real problem with a little bit of comedy and a little bit of slapstick, especially these days. You kind of expect it. A lot of movies are going that way. But there is no place for it in the middle of some of your most intense, most visually stunning action sequences. The one that really got me was actually later on in the movie, but it reminded me very much of the scene in The Force Awakens where they're first flying around in the Millennium Falcon and they take it through the crashed Star Destroyer and all that kind of stuff, and BB-8's rolling around and then he sticks out his pitons and secures himself, right?
Right.
That was fine. Mm-hmm. That was one gag, and it kind of harked back to a lot of the stuff they did with R2-D2 in the original movies, and it sat quite nicely in the sequence. But 5 or 6 or more gags that are all slapstick, peppered throughout one of your most intense action sequences, is just doing it wrong. And there was a lot of that all the way through the film. We also talked earlier about how one of the best things about The Force Awakens was they moved more into doing like practical effects and less CGI. And it was a really CG heavy film, I felt.
Right.
I think a lot of it looked amazing. I will not take that away from them. A lot of it looked amazing. But they were obviously just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and seeing just how much they could achieve with CG. And some things they just couldn't do right. And a lot of them were sequences that really didn't need to be in the film. I mean, the other thing I had a big problem with was, and I know I'm hogging.
I'll let you roll.
You've seen it twice, and I want to compare what I think with what you thought the first time, and also what you thought the second time worked better.
Yeah.
A lot of the script was bad. Good things I would say about it, like all the Force stuff, all the dark side stuff, all the Imperial stuff, in fact, and all the stuff with Snoke was great.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really cheesy and weak on the Rebel side, whereas the Force stuff and the Imperial stuff was just brilliantly done.
Yeah. So there's three kind of sections, or three kind of storylines woven throughout this film, and certainly some are stronger than others.
Yesterday, when you saw it first, what did you think?
I think it's very hard to meet a person's expectations such as myself. My expectations were through the roof with this film, and a lot of it did not meet that. There were more positives certainly than negatives in my mind. There were so many beautiful moments in this, so many moments I would rank top in my kind of top 5 or 6 Star Wars moments of all time are in this film.
Fair enough.
But there are a lot of weak parts about it as well, which makes it a bit of a mixed bag. There's a certain tone and there is a vision in this film, and all of that is realised, and all of the steps getting towards the final act are all there. But some parts are just not executed well, and I think the execution of certain aspects about this film are lacking, and then there are execution moments that are just spot on.
Generally, I would agree with that. Did you think there was too much comedy in there?
It's an action adventure, and it's nice to have a little bit of comedy peppered in there, but there's someone's over seasoning, and that's creating a general trend throughout modern films, or at least a certain amount of films in 2017.
And how did you feel about the other thing that got on my nerves, which was the CG?
There were probably about I would only say about 2 scenes where that pulled me out of the film. The rest I accepted just fine. There were a couple of green screen moments where I didn't feel that the characters were in that environment. As an overall experience, didn't hurt me too much.
Fair enough.
Or affect my opinion, or take me out of the film as much as perhaps it has for you. Let's be honest.
The last thing I really want to cover with you though, Pat.
Yep.
Porgs. Love them or hate them.
Indifferent.
Can't stand the little buggers.
Yeah.
Absolutely loathsome, in my opinion.
They didn't do enough to annoy me, but they didn't do anything to make me enjoy them.
See, that's why it makes me question what's the point in even putting them in there. It's just to have something fluffy and fuzzy.
Insert picture of toy store littered with porgs.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing personally gets on my nerves. So before we get too heavily into the spoilers, we've got to give it some scores. We score all the films we go to see out of the 100 miles that we have to drive to go and see them. Mm-hmm. So we're looking for a score, Pat.
Okay, well for me, I've seen it twice. I've had the advantage of this film to simmer with me, digest with me. I've noticed a lot on social media that people have just come out outraged, and I felt that way yesterday. But I was really happy to know that I was coming to see it again the very next day. I'm going to give this movie an 79.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it did a lot more to make me enjoy this film, particularly the second time around, where I knew the story, my expectations. Well, I didn't have any expectations. I knew exactly the story that I was going in to see, and I just wanted to see that unfold and how it was executed. And overall, I think it was done very well, with a few blemishes on there that are going to irritate me for the rest of my life. However, there's kind of a little bit of that in most Star Wars films.
I mean, I'm not going nearly that high. I did go in with expectations. I really, really wanted to enjoy this film. I also went in quite worried that it wasn't going to meet them, and I was kind of prepared for that. But overall, it's left me quite angry. I thought it was fairly predictable. I thought they ruined a lot of the good moments of the movie. Now, there was a lot of stuff that I absolutely loved. There's some brilliant stuff in this film. And the overall story arc, I really enjoyed. And luckily, that was the main bulk of the stuff that I loved as well. So it worked out. Most of the movie was thoroughly enjoyable. But there was just so much that was unnecessary or just anger-making for me. It's a thoroughly enjoyable film in one way, and it's Star Wars, so well worth going to see. And there is a lot of good stuff in there, but I can't give it more than 68.
Fair enough.
I'm not even going to break the 70 mark.
Totally understand it, and perhaps yesterday I would have been the same way. Perhaps I would have even given it less, but I got to sit back today and enjoy it and see it again. And not everyone's going to do that. You want to walk out of the cinema straight away feeling excited, feeling entertained. And I didn't feel that yesterday. You're not feeling that today, so your score is fair, and I can't go against it.
So there you go. Star Wars: The Last Jedi, definitely worth the drive, particularly if you love Star Wars. There is a lot of good stuff in there, but there are a few points where it falls down.
We pretty much assume that most people have already gone to see this film. Whether if you're a Star Wars fan, you've gone to see this film. If you're not a Star Wars fan, you're probably not going to go see this film. It's one of those things. So if you haven't, cut off now. If you have, let's get into it.